Welcome back, everybody.
Man, you just get out of a hangover?
What's going on?
Nothing much.
Manuel's back, guys.
Oh, we're
He's
starting?
back. I mean, he never left. He was here.
Oh, that's right.
Hey, you need to go home. It's cool, but you were in my house the past week.
Hmm,
You need to go home.
okay. So we're back.
We're back.
From outer space?
We will be.
Guess who's back?
So,
He can't see you.
mhm. So what do we study this week?
Did you tell us, man?
Yeah,
I
you were here
didn't
last
know.
week.
I was in here to
Give them a quick recap.
A recap.
Samuel.
Samuel?
No, not Samuel. Samuel. David. Saul.
Jesus, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter.
None of that. Okay. Well, where were we?
And that's the end of the pod.
Thank you for coming.
No more of that.
Basically, we had David and Goliath, and then
No, that was way before.
but he wasn't here for that either.
You think it was?
Yeah, he was.
According to the pod, he was.
Oh yeah, he was
Mhm.
here.
Mhm.
But give you a recap. We had David and Goliath, and
Mhm.
then David was anointed king, but they were looking
Secretly.
but they were looking for someone else. And then he was like, "You have any other kids?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, he's out there tending the flock. Get them." And then he was anointed king. And then what was happening?
Saul tries to kill him.
Saul tries to kill him, and then he runs, and then he's BFS with Saul's kid, and then he tries to save him. And then we finished off with Saul. No. David's with his people hiding in a cave, and then Saul has to go to the restroom. So he's in the going in the cave trying to go to the restroom, and then David cuts off a piece of his garment.
He could have killed
He
him,
could have killed him,
but he didn't.
but he didn't.
That pause right there was like really cut off what?
Piece of his garment.
Good clarification.
Stop thinking like Manuel. But that's where we're at now.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So what's up? What's up next?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Manuel, what's next? Since you know the Bible already.
is this where he died?
No, right before he died.
Right before that? When he goes into battle? Oh, is this when he goes to the witch lady? And that's for Samuel?
That's later.
That's later?
Mhm.
How can he die now and that be later?
We're talking about a guy named the Ball. ¿Te acuerdas?
Which means
No, I don't know.
What's in Spanish? What's his name?
Neval.
That doesn't sound right. Hmm.
What does the Gen Z Bible call him?
Well, probably, I don't know.
Well, his name is Nabal.
He has a meaning to his name?
Yeah, his name means foolish.
Oh, yes. I remember now.
Yeah.
Foolishness?
Well, Samuel dies first of all.
No, this is before Samuel. Saul. Samuel. Okay, yes. Samuel dies.
This is what Samuel died?
Yes. But they don't really say it like they just said, "Oh, he died," and then next verse. You know? Like they didn't really
But he comes back in 2 Samuel.
say much to it.
Oh yeah, he comes back. That's right. That's right.
That's true. We'll talk about that.
So yeah, David goes to protect Nabal's crops and land
Mm-hmm.
and cattle, whatever.
Oh, Nabal, the one that his wife Abigail.
Yeah.
He takes it. Yeah.
Yeah.
He mistreats
You're going
David.
too far. You're going too far. Hold
He
on.
mistreats David.
So, yes, and so David makes a vow that he would kill Nabal's men,
Yes.
but one of the servants hears this. Well, why does he want to kill him in the first place? What
Because-
does he do?
Because I think back then it wasn't like hospitality.
Yeah,
Like
hospitality.
and it was like brothers, and he wasn't giving them hospitality.
Yeah, like
It was
he's
more
Yeah.
like
I
He was a
think they
douche.
wanted
A
him
disrespect.
to see if they can give him anything to like eat or something because they were stopping by, and also because David had been protecting his land, and when he asked for something, he said no.
And because he knew that he had,
He was
It
a
wa-
jerk.
he knew he had the money, so he wasn't doing it for the money, but he was protecting him. But he was asking him just to, I guess just to be courteous, and he wasn't even showing the courtesy. He was showing it to him because if he wanted to, he could have just killed everything and kept it for himself if David wanted to, but he didn't too, and he was trying to see if he was courteous with that, and he wasn't courteous at all. I guess.
So they're not there at the moment, but one of the servants hears, one of the Nabal's servants hears that David wants to, or he vowed to kill Nabal's men. So of course, scared, he runs off to Nabal's wife, Abigail. And Abigail gets scared too, like, whoa, like, what are y'all doing to the next king of Israel? Like, why is...
Like she tries to help David.
Yeah, so
Like
she...
tried to keep the peace. Right? Like she doesn't want
So
them
she
to.
grabs her stuff and makes ready to go meet David.
Yeah, she packs him a lunch.
Yep.
Basically, right?
Well, I mean...
Not
pretty
lunch,
much
but stuff. Like
Pretty much for the whole army, too, because
Yeah.
it says that she packed everything that she had.
hmm
And so, yeah, so she brings everything she has to David to hopefully ease his anger, right? Because he already vowed. And so that is the first vow that David broke. Because I think when you're like in those higher positions and you decree something and you don't go through with it, that means you're a whack king. But I think it's a good reason that he broke his vow. And so Nabal, he gets pissed.
he gets sick.
He finds out that she gave him money.
Yeah.
Or not give him money, but gave him food and all that.
Help David.
He gets so shocked and he dies. He falls and dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
10 days later.
Yeah, he falls and he goes into a coma or something, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. Then he dies later.
And then David wants to take her for a wife.
And he swoops in.
Mr. Steelyoke.
But he's happy too because he didn't kill her. He said God, he did it on his own, or it was a God's deed.
Yeah, he
It
did.
wasn't like he
for
used
him.
his sword to kill him.
Yeah.
He was kind of happy on that.
Yeah, so David marries Abigail.
So he has how many wives now? Like 2, 3?
Probably 3.
So you're behind JP? How many?
What?
He's like, one's enough?
Literally.
I'm blinking because I need help.
The Morse code.
Wow. All right. So David's marriage to it was Saul's daughter, Michal.
Yeah, he's still married to her.
Yeah, but then Saul gave her away to somebody else.
Yeah. Then he goes, gets her, and then the husband keeps crawling back.
Oh,
"You don't
yes.
like my wife. And
Yes.
he's like, stop it.
Yeah.
Stop this nonsense. She was my wife.
David's taking everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, David, Nabal dies. David marries Abigail. What else?
And then we read a lot of Psalms this week. A lot of different Psalms.
That he wrote.
But also I think after they met, I think David and Saul like finally realized they're being dumb, and then they stopped chasing each other.
Well, it's mainly Saul. He finally recognizes that David's going to be the next king. He's like, okay, cool.
Well, I mean, after you pretty much had an opportunity to kill him and didn't,
Again,
you kind of like, okay, I give in.
He accepts his fate. His fate. But I don't know. Saul's dumb.
Yeah, but I remember, like I said last week or whenever we first read that Saul was put up as king. I don't think this is something that he definitely wasn't ready for, and definitely was forced upon him.
This is something that it got away from him way too fast. He didn't
he started off good.
Yeah.
Because remember when he was prophesying and talking to when people was like, when they're like, is Paul one of the prophets?
I think that's the thing. He started off too good. Like everything
Well, the
going
Spirit
right.
was with him.
Yeah. But I think he was starting to take credit for the Spirit.
Mm.
Like getting too confident. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and he just basically just disobeyed God. He didn't do what he was being told to do.
What messed him up was when he tried to offer sacrifice. That's when really messed him up.
Oh yeah, that was the
unauthorized
sacrifice. Yes, he was supposed to wait for Samuel.
And supposed to kill the other kings, and Samuel came and he killed them.
And he did it for him.
Yeah.
That's when it started.
But I don't know what I think the impatientness, I guess, of just like being like, let's just get this done instead of being like, I guess it's being like, instead of being God's time, just he was like, let's get it done. I don't know.
And David's the opposite. He's very patient, right? Like he could have killed Saul a long time ago.
Well, patient for now.
Well, just saying.
But all I'm saying is poor Saul only in the sense that he was the first king and he had so much to not even to live up to. It's just he had to set a precedent for what was the other kings were supposed to follow. And it's hard to be the first person to do something because all you're going to do is make mistakes. That's literally what you do because no one else has done it. Israel has not had a king. All they've had was prophets, but because they've been going around conquering these other cities, they see how their kings are, and that's the only thing they have to go off of. And even though, God is with them, he says he's going to be with them, you're having someone with all the power, it pretty much gets to your head, and especially when he didn't want to do it.
Well, remember too, God didn't want to do it. It was the people that wanted it.
Exactly. So I think this is God through Saul telling the people of Israel, look, this is what you wanted. This is what happens when you want a king.
Well, or not just that, not. I don't think he did it on purpose, but I think because God knew the heart.
Did it on purpose.
No, I think he knows the heart.
I'm not even trying to be like funny. I think he actually did it on purpose because he wanted to show Israel, hey, this is what a king gets you because you denied me.
Well, I'm just saying that I don't think he has to do it on purpose because he knows what that lies ahead. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
it's not like
and,
he has to do it.
Saul was unfortunately a scapegoat.
Sal, imagine Sal as king. Endless Bud Light.
Joven or no joven?
And that's why I feel bad for Saul because even when they're going to present him to the leadership, he was hiding. He did not want to. The only reason why he's making his mistakes is because he thinks he's doing the right thing in stepping up and making decisions on his own.
But if you think about it, then everybody has that. I think everybody has the potential to fall into, because then if it's like saying poor guy that gets $1 billion, you're gonna ruin his life. You know he's gonna go to drugs and all that.
I don't know if it's a comparison or just an analogy, but comparing someone getting $1 million to being a king is way different because one is money and the other one is power.
But I just think it's how you're raised up too. Because remember I forgot. I'm already going too far. Or am I going back?
No, go for it.
About the kid, remember? He's 80 years old and he becomes a king. But his counsel was wise that he became a good king. So maybe himself too, by not counseling, getting people to counsel him more or something like that.
Yeah, I understand. But being that he was the first one, everything bad, I think also everything bad needed to happen so that the next kings wouldn't do it. And of course, Saul looks like a dummy compared to David. But I think David had the privilege of having seen Saul in what he's doing wrong so that he wouldn't do that.
Well,
is that fair?
Maybe, but I think God, because he said he had him. So he had all the choices to make it right, but he chose not to because remember he had him, and and Samuel said he took it away from you, and he gave it to David, meaning that God gave him the opportunity. He saw in him, he gave him his free will. You know what I mean? So he had the opportunity to make the right choices, but he made the wrong choices.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Still, anyway, he was a scapegoat because imagine someone giving you the reins to be the CEO of a company when you have no prior knowledge. You've only seen people do it, but you haven't done it yourself, and you're expected to perform at the highest level, even though you've had no experience, and you're the first one to do it in this company.
I could understand if the future kings didn't have go through that, but if you read it, and the future kings, you had the kings that went bad and the kings that went good. So it doesn't even matter. And those weren't even first. Those kings, they're already in age too. So everybody goes their own way.
No, I understand that. I'm just saying that because Saul didn't want to do it, he was unfortunately the scapegoat. Like God used him for that. He gave him opportunity, and yes, those were Saul's choices. Like those weren't on anybody else's. But imagine being put in those shoes of Saul. Like why? And I'm not saying that he is not in the wrong. I'm just saying, what would you do different in hindsight, looking at what happened to him? Like if you didn't have any prior knowledge, how would you react? Being propelled to be the first king because your people wanted a king, and God tells Samuel, "Yeah, that's the guy." Purportedly, he looked the part. Mm-hmm. He was tall, handsome. He was a warrior because he came from the tribe of Benjamin.
Yeah,
and so you expected so much of him by his appearance. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's just a lot. I think we should kind of not be. I'm not saying y'all are being harsh, but let's not be so harsh on Saul.
Well, I'm not being harsh on him. I understand that too.
Yeah.
But I'm on like everybody has that, because you got the people that go to the highest, or you got people that grow up at the bottom. That that you're like, I don't know. Yeah. But yeah, I'm not gonna complain anything about these guys. You know what I mean?
And I'm not saying that God was wrong in doing it, because he uses people. He's used people forever to prove something. Because he was proven to the Israelites, hey, this is what you get as a king.
Because even though he could have still proved it on his next king. Let's just say maybe God wanted to take him early and make it his point to be proven. He could have done it with his sons. You know what I mean? If he wouldn't make the right choices, but he still wanted to prove his point, he could have done it later in the future. You know what I mean? But he does it a lot, where he doesn't do it to them. He goes, I'm going to do it to your kids. So, you know what I mean? So I think that was one of those there. Yeah, I think God wanted to prove his point, but if he wouldn't have done it with them, he would have done it with, his next generation.
But it just sucks that it happened to Saul, because it was at the point where the judges weren't working out, and they kept on going back into sin. So it's not that it was Saul's fault; it was the people's fault. Yeah. The people of Israel wanted a king because they believed that their judges weren't worthy enough, because they always fell back into sin anyway, and they never looked to God again, only when they needed help. So, man, their great idea was to bring a king.
Yeah.
And this is what they get. I think this is God being petty.
I don't know. You call it petty, but I call it what he gets to do whatever he wants.
Yeah, so I mean,
when you're the rule maker, you could do whatever you want.
Yeah, but that doesn't deny the fact that it was petty.
I don't know. I don't know what the definition of petty is, so I'll just say okay.
Moving on.
Bro. All right. I'm not even just. I mean, I'm just agreeing with like everything that happened to Saul. I'm just saying it just sucks because.
Oh yeah, I believe that.
Poor guy. Even though they were his choices, like he was put in that position. Like, what would anybody do without any guidance? Without having an instruction manual of how to be a king, especially a king to God's people.
Yeah, I guess because he had Samuel, and he could have used more of Samuel, or maybe been more like a what's his name? Not Saul, but David's son, the one who
Solomon.
Solomon, yeah. Remember when he prayed to God? He goes, "Give me the wisdom to to rule these people. Of course, he kind of went away from it for a little bit too. But, you know,
Yeah, but I also think that the next kings have no excuse when they do stupid things because they had the example of Saul.
This is what not to do.
What to do and what not to do. Both.
He was a perfect case study of what not to do. So any other king after him is like, oh, yeah, that's definitely just on you. That's not pressure on anybody. That's on you because you were the next king. You were next in line to be the king. You've had prior knowledge and privilege of having seen a king before of what to do and what not to do. So if you still do stupid things, that's on you. But Saul, I think we should give him a break.
Yep.
Moving on. I'm team Saul all the way.
Team Jesus.
Okay.
Whatever. I just hate the trap, Benjamin.
Benjamin.
All right. So where do we leave
Palestine
off before?
lover.
What?
You Palestine lover. Philistine.
Philistine.
So Saul's having trouble beating the Philistines. And he's like, dang, Samuel died. Who do I go to? And he goes to a medium, which is like a witch, or what is that?
Basically a bruja.
A bruja? And she...
For you non-Spanish people, it's a bruja is a witch. And they do brujery.
Brujeria.
Yes.
And apparently he was supposed to get rid of all the mediums. That's another thing that he didn't obey. And so he goes to one to call on Samuel from the dead, I guess, and he comes. And I forgot what he said. What he said.
Well, even like before that, I think, remember, I think it was David, when he was running from Saul.
Yeah, he hid with the Philistines.
Yeah,
yeah.
he was buddies with Achish.
His bodyguard.
Yeah, and so
That's crazy.
he decides that he wants to go attack Israel. And so when he goes...
He was trying to convince David to have his men come with him, right?
Yeah.
But the other people, they don't want that because they think he's going to be a traitor. And David's like, haven't I been good to you? Haven't I been this and that? And he goes, I know you've been a good, but you must just stay here.
Yeah, but also David, he was fighting supposedly with the Philistines, taking out Israeli cities.
But he wasn't. He was the opposite.
Yeah, he was destroying the Philistine towns. And he was telling Achish, yeah, I just took over this town and I have all their stuff. And so I think at this point, David was being a double agent. He was working for the Palestinians and Israel. Well, he appeared to be working for Palestine, but he was actually working for Israel.
The Philistines?
The Philistines. Which turned into Palestine. But
and so that's why we get to where at this point Achish wants to attack Israel. And so Saul doesn't know what to do.
Wait, but you wouldn't think word would get round back to Achish, like, hey, this guy's not really doing what he says he is?
I mean, that's how you know that David was also a manipulator.
True.
And he killed everybody, make sure there's no witnesses.
There you go, tying up loose ends.
Exactly.
Yeah. But in this situation, go ahead, man.
What the government does.
Ooh.
Continue.
No comment.
Can't confirm nor deny.
Nope. We'll just take your tax dollars. Thank you.
Wow.
All right. So Achish wants to take over the Israel cities. Saul tries to get God's advice. Remember, he goes and prays?
But God stays.
He does not answer him.
And why do you think he doesn't answer?
To see what he would do.
He has departed from him.
Well, that, but I think
I don't know.
that's what he would do. Like, are you going to seek outside sources or are you going to stick with it?
What do you think, Manny?
Sounds about good. I like what JP's thinking.
So One other perspective that the podcast lady gave was that because God already had given Saul like a direction to go, God's not gonna answer any new prayers unless you already do what you're told. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the reason that why God was silent is because he already had given an answer to a prayer. He already told you to do something and you haven't done it. So he's not going to answer you until you do what he asks. It's like saying, when your parents tell you, when you're kids, right? Your parents tell you you have to go wash the dishes, and you don't do it, and then you ask them for ice cream. They're like, no, you haven't washed the dishes yet, so yeah, so nothing for you, no ice cream for you.
For Saul.
What do you think?
Yeah,
That makes sense.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it does.
Agreed.
Guess we all agree. Cool. So then Saul was like, okay, if you don't want to talk to me, then I'll just go and consult his medium. And then what happens? The medium, for some reason, calls on Samuel, right? Because Saul would always turn to Samuel to see, for advice. So he calls on the medium, and then Samuel appears.
And the medium screams.
Or is it really Samuel?
Oh yeah, the medium's scared.
This is actually
She's like, I
person.
did it. It's probably
For the first time, it's actually a person.
yeah.
Like, that's the question. Is it really Samuel or was it just a demon?
It was really Samuel.
Because if it was a Samuel, then there could be ghosts. Like, it could be like, oh, I saw my grandma last night, like walking around.
No. Well, remember, this is the Old Testament. The Old Testament was different than the New Testament.
What do you mean?
Yeah, remember when he goes down to it kind of, I don't know, it just seemed like it changed from the Old Testament to the New Testament.
Oh, you're saying that because they haven't really gone anywhere, the people who have died, they're still lingering around?
At that point, because remember that other, I don't know if I'm going too far again. Yeah, I think I'm going ahead. When Elijah, he's dead, his bones are there, and somebody falls who's dead, they throw him into his grave, and he comes back alive because of his bones.
Oh.
So that, like, all that stuff was back then. Now it's not. Remember too, back then was the curses were, you curse somebody, it was like a real thing, and stuff like that. Like the thing, I think it was more of a law, more of your word and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It was just different, I think.
Yeah. So then Saul gets told that he will lose against the Philistines tomorrow, or the next day, and both of his sons would die with him.
Mm-hmm.
So we know that Achish is coming, and he tells David to go back home. So they kind of give David like an out so that he doesn't have to reveal that he's been working on the other side.
Yeah.
So Achish and his soldiers tell David to go home and that they will take care of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so that pretty much gets David off the hook there.
Yeah.
Because David was close to picking a side. I'm pretty sure he'd be on the Israel side, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it'd be hard to, yeah. So David returns to his home in Ziklag, and the Amalekites, he returns to his hometown to find out that the Amalekites burned down his town and took his family hostage.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He goes, takes his men.
Mm-hmm.
Go get Abigail and everyone else.
So then God answers David in his prayer and tells him that he would get the victory against the Amalekites. And of course, Saul loses against the Philistines and he falls on his sword and his sons die.
Mm-hmm.
Poor Jonathan.
I know.
Oh,
sad.
yeah, that was.
That was sad.
Like, they were really, really friends.
R.I.P.
But again, it's Saul's choices that got his family killed. So it's kind of like the law, the Old Testament law is still it still applies, because even though you accidentally sin, you still need to face the consequences.
Yeah.
So poor guy. So where are we at? So
Saul died.
Yeah.
He killed himself.
He wounded himself, but the kid finished the job. Because David killed the other guy. Why don't you have mercy? Why don't you? How can you just slay him as being your king?
And then he had him killed.
Yep.
you're going too far.
And that leads us to 2 Samuel. He's back.
Well, one interesting fact that the podcast lady told was that the Philistines took Saul's head and placed it on the body of Dagon.
Dagon.
Oh.
For their god or something. That's creepy.
Yeah, and supposedly it was the same god that the Ark of the Covenant.
Oh, the one that got chopped off legs?
Do you think it was a little, like, little jab at them for what David did to Goliath?
Yeah.
That those men went and they took the body and took it away. And David honored them.
The people from the nearby town, they took his body and they gave him proper burial.
Mm-hmm. Hitler's body.
Cool.
Back then, it was very bloody.
Mm-hmm.
Very.
Those are words.
All right, so we get to 2 Samuel.
The first 4 chapters.
What do they say?
So David is in his refugee home and he beats the Amalekites. Finally. Well, first he hears about Saul's death and he's very sad.
How sad, though?
Let's read. I don't know.
Very.
Well, he was mad at the kid, so he had him killed.
Yeah.
And then, they took hold of their clothes and tore them. They mourned and wept and fasted till evening for Saul and Jonathan, his BFFs. But yeah,
you're right, man. Because he does get killed because he killed the king.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he just wounded himself, and the kid finished him off.
And it's interesting that David still has a lot of respect for Saul. Like, how dare you kill the anointed king, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Like, he still has a lot of respect, and he still sees him as his king, per se. So he's very mad, I think. He's really mad. I don't know.
Yeah, he was pissed. That's probably why he had that guy killed, because I mean, anybody who kills a king is gonna die. So then God sends David to Hebron.
Hebron.
No.
Hey, LeBron. Wait, but isn't before that, doesn't he get anointed in Judah only?
I think that's coming up.
Is that after? I'm ahead. Okay, sorry.
Oh no, yeah, you're right. He sends him there to be. Judah makes David king. They anoint him to make him, but none of the other tribes know, and so
not till later.
He spends like 5 years being the king of Judah.
And
during the meantime, over there, Abner, being a dummy, makes Ishbosheth.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ishbosheth king to the other 11 tribes.
Yes.
Abner?
No bueno.
He's I think he's the military leader, commander, general of Saul. Yeah. And so he makes Mephibosheth, he's one of the sons, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Which, I mean, if you're going by the logic of the kingship, right?
It would go to him.
It would go to him. Yeah. But God.
Wow. Keep it going, Manuel.
But God said he will choose the next king, and that king is David. Hallelujah.
I think Manuel just got saved again.
Praise the Lord. There's a party in heaven because the sinner got saved.
The sinner got saved.
Oh, that's funny. So yeah, so then all the only reason why David finds out is because when they meet, right? They meet at like this I forget what the place is called. But then they start having like one-on-one battles.
Mm-hmm.
And so during this time, David has 6 kids with 6 concubines. Jesus. Damn. JP wishes he lived in that time.
Heck no. He belongs to the streets.
She belongs to the streets.
Yeah, so Abner is accused by Ishbosheth of sleeping with one of Saul's wives or concubines.
Mm-hmm.
And so this was often a strategy to say that you wanted to take over as king or leader. So someone would sleep with one of the concubines to say, hey, I'm taking your spot. So then Abner gets scared and he tries to switch sides.
Yeah.
He goes back to David. And so David was like, all right, I'll let you back in, but I need you to get me my first wife back. And only then to come back into my kingdom. I love this thing.
Wow.
But what's his name? Joab starts getting jealous or he starts getting suspicious of Abner, right? Because he's coming by, he's starting to be nice, and he's like, "What is this guy up to? Is he trying to take my spot?" And so what happens?
Commits a little homicide. A little first 48 type of thing.
Is that where?
Didn't we get flagged last time because of that?
No, that was.
Oh, it was the whole intro.
Yeah. What'd you say, man?
Was that when he tried to become the judge or something? He goes, that they're not hearing you, come to me, I'll hear your cases or something. Was that the son that was doing that? No?
No, I don't know. I don't know about that.
When there was disputes in the city and people were getting upset, he goes, well, why don't you just come to me? I'll be the judge. And people were leaving like really good, and eventually he became like people were liking him. Am I talking about the same guy?
I don't think so.
No? Okay.
No, this is Joab. He kills Abner because he's starting to come by, and maybe he probably felt threatened that David was going to give Abner his spot, which he was like the general of his army.
Well, it says right here, Joab and his brother murdered Abner because he had killed their brother in a battle in Gibeon.
Yeah, that was before. But, I mean, he kills him for that, but...
It was more than just that reason, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So then Ishbosheth is killed by one of his leadership too. So I was like, okay.
Murder.
Yeah. And what was that other guy? Mephibosheth? Saul's only remaining son. And David, he's kind enough to let him live. He says, I'm not going to hurt your your family anymore. I'm going to let you live. Yeah. And so this week's passages end with Psalms. Who wants to read the Psalms?
There's a lot of them. But mainly
Which one's
you want to talk about it? Pick a song, any song.
Psalm.
Sounds weird.
Right. What Psalm stood out? So Psalm 6, 8 to 10, 14, 16, 19, and 21.
And then 121, 123, 125. There's so many. Psalms 18.
The Psalms hit different when you know how they were written in context. You know what I mean?
Like during the time.
But also, David likes to exaggerate.
I mean,
he's a musician.
What other musician doesn't exaggerate?
Yeah, no, I'm just saying it's exaggerated because when you read the story and compare it to the story, it's like, wait, what? That's like way too far. This only happened. So he's just speaking more on the emotion part, where the emotion made him feel like this was way out of proportion. So, yeah, that's my take on these Psalms.
Mm-hmm. Agree.
It's I like that some of the Psalms he writes. Yeah, most of them are to praise God, but sometimes he's like, "Man, God, what are you doing?" You know, like he's like,
"What are you doing, bruh?" Yeah,
like, "Where are you?" Well, I'm literally hiding in the cave, fighting, running away, trying to live, survive. So he's honest. I like that he's honest, and that it's how we should all like pray. Like God's not offended of what we say. We just have to be honest to him.
Yeah, I can't stand when, especially I'm gonna call out the Hispanic Latino churches, where they just be saying words just to say words. They think they're poets. Like just tell them what you really feel.
Like what?
Poderoso de los cielos.
Exactly.
Rodeado de gloria.
And that's just the intro.
Yeah.
Like, chill. Just say what you have on your mind.
I think based on the Hispanic church, where we're taught that prayer is supposed to be like a how has like Pastor Joe Eric been saying it?
I don't know.
In the past two sermons, like why have we gotten so what? It's not
Holy?
Not uptight, but
like no, I don't know what you're talking about.
But kind of like since like why have we gotten so like
by the book,
like holy with God, like our Father, like stuff like that, like
religious.
There you go.
That's not the word, but
that's a good.
It's sort of, but
it kind of is in the sense that you think this is some kind of ritualistic thing that you need to do instead of actually saying what you really feel.
Yeah,
like Catholics.
Almost, yeah, because it's.
I don't know.
I feel like
talking about
in the Spanish church prayer.
To that.
It's almost like that. In the Spanish church or Catholic church, prayer is almost seen to be a one-way conversation. You telling God.
Yeah.
And when you talk to God, don't tell him what's wrong with your life. Just praise him. Don't ask him for anything. Just throw in all the adjectives you can. And
like don't expect.
And that's prayer.
Like kind of like don't expect to be. Well, no, like. Listen more than you're gonna speak,
which is good. We gotta listen when we speak, but I feel like that's why sometimes people don't really go to God.
But I think the religious thing is actually the best.
Dignified, that's the word.
Dignified. Yeah, he did say it.
Yeah. No, and the only reason why I say religious is because in a religion, you pretty much do like the ritualistic traditional things because that's what you've been doing. Their church has been doing forever. But because I don't really do the religion. For me, it's more of a relationship. Like you don't go to you're husband and wife and you formally say something that, you know, precious wife,
Imagine.
caregiver, birth giver, you are the delight of my life. Like, you don't start.
Imagine me coming home. Greetings, Rip.
Greetings.
Yeah, so it's not real. It's not authentic.
There you go. Yeah, that's another word.
You're just doing something religiously because you've heard people do it and you think that's how it's supposed to be, instead of being actually authentic and saying what you really feel.
Mm-hmm. And that's
Manny?
what David is
Man, your
doing.
thoughts? Tell me I'm wrong, man. Tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong.
I dare you to tell me I'm wrong.
Where's that
You're
thing?
wrong?
You have that wrong.
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 There you go.
Like, do you have like any objection to what I say?
It's because Manuel has a script when he prays, and he prays the same.
No, I don't pray none of that.
Do you pray in general? Do you pray at all?
Yes, when you can.
What
That-
God do you pray to? Baal? I'm assuming?
No.
Muhammad?
Dagon?
Thank God.
No.
I understand what you're saying, Manny, and I pretty much never have time, only when on the weekends. So
So he's a God of the weekends.
hey, at least I'm honest, right? I'm not gonna be out here saying that I pray 3 times a day, like
3 times
Daniel.
a day for 4 hours a day.
Yeah.
We should, and
Yes, we should. That'd be great,
I'm not
but
gonna
I
lie,
don't.
It makes you feel good. I'm not gonna lie, but sometimes when you're not, it's like I guess when you exercise, if you don't do it as much, you kind of, but once you have it in a rhythm,
Routine, yeah,
Yeah.
every day.
but it does feel. It's like we don't do it as much as we should, but when you do it really well, it feels like when you exercise really well, you feel like you sweat it out, and you're like, oh, you feel good.
Like
But
a
then you
weight
kinda-
been lifted.
Yeah, but then you kind of don't do it again, and you kind of like, you don't want to do it. But then when you do it, it's again, you still feel good. It's like when you're done exercise, you take a shower, and you just feel really,
Yeah.
you feel relaxed, like your body like was able to. That's how you feel when you pray.
I know that's what you need to do to keep it consistent, but how do you pray is what I'm asking. Do you do the whole dear God in heaven, your
Hallowed
name is
be thy
above
name.
all names, you're the King of Kings? Like, do you say all that? Of course, sometimes when you're doing like the grateful prayer, you probably start off like that, but
I think it's just kind of giving you a blueprint. It's not telling you to do that. It's just telling you probably to first of all be thankful because you're alive. That doesn't have to mean you gotta go all. But first of all, I think it's just saying just be grateful, and then just don't forget. It's just like an outline. It's not telling you gotta do this exactly. It's just kind of giving you an outline, like you know what I mean. First of all, you're thankful. You know what I mean? Thank you. Or let's just say you buy me something or whatever. The first thing I'm gonna say is thank you. And then, and then eventually you go through like, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that. But your first thing is like, oh, thank you for your.
yeah, and
Something like that.
I get that, like for us individually when we're not at church, but when we're at church, do you think it's a good idea for the leadership to be so exaggeratedly like extra when they pray?
What do you mean extra? You got to tell me because I don't know what.
Give us an
Like
example.
exactly what JP was just doing. Like, dear God in heaven, they go
talking-
crazy.
Okay, you're talking about when they just start praying out loud. And
Yes,
start saying, okay.
exactly.
Me, personally, I don't really agree with it, but everybody, you never know. You know what I mean? But usually I'm more like, it reminds me of, remember, now I'm talking about the New Testament. Remember the tax collector and the Pharisee?
Hmm.
When the Pharisee was up saying, thank you, God. He was up there praying where everybody can hear him. Thank you, God, because you giving me this, and because I'm not like these guys that are sinning and this and that.
Mm.
And then God shows that the tax collector next to him, he was just like, he didn't even say much, that he couldn't even look up because he felt so embarrassed. He was just ashamed, and he was telling God, I'm sorry. You know what I mean? He was just embarrassed. And God said, who do you think he heard? The guy that was, you know what I mean, talking all that, or the guy who actually, in his heart was feeling that. So,
But I think that's the same thing. Whenever you have leadership go too extra on these prayers, the guy in the bench or whatever is like, well, I don't pray like that. God's not gonna hear my prayer.
Forget
Then.
the guy on the bench, the new person at church. Like,
Exactly.
what's he saying? They're gonna get spooked easily. Like, I gotta pray like that. Like, that's prayer.
and it's
gotta
not
keep it
always
simple.
prayer. Remember too when Anna, Samuel's mom,
Yeah.
She would pray quiet. That Eli would be like, "What is she doing? What is she mumbling
she
and
was
stuff like
crazy.
that?" Yeah,
Yeah.
He thought she was drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There you go.
and things like that. And God actually heard her.
No, I'm not saying that God doesn't hear it. I'm saying that it's an unrealistic expectation for new people and people in the church who didn't grow up in church to be expected to do that out of just the fact that people in that church pray that way.
Yeah,
When they're not being authentic themselves, they have to come off of this person who with the crazy vocabulary
I
to
don't.
find all the similar thesaurus words of how grateful God is, which he is, but that's too exaggerated.
Well, it just depends too. If you go, remember Paul in the New Testament, he goes, remember he starts talking about about talking in tongues and just doing all this craziness. He goes, what happens if new people come? They're gonna think you're crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Himself is saying like everything should be in order. You know what I mean? Just speaking in tongues and all that. Everybody does it. And he was like, no, you know what I mean? What happens if somebody new comes? They're going to think you're just crazy.
Yeah.
And Paul was saying that.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of people, they feel like they need to do all that. But it's like anything else. Are you saying that they're not safe because they're doing that? Or
the leadership?
Yeah.
No, I just think they're being extra.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah. And I blame David.
But you never know. Maybe in those extras, sometimes you just never know. Because maybe that there's one person that maybe that helped him out, but it didn't help a lot of other people. So you know what I mean? So you just never know.
Yeah. So, but I think there's more of the people that are not like that. And so you help a lot more people out with not doing that than being extra, is my point.
Yeah. Oh, and I'm just trying to defend, but still, I'm more reserved. So me, I like more of a, being more reserved, but
Like I literally talk to God like I'm talking to you guys. That's how I pray.
Just having a conversation.
Yeah.
That's how it should be.
I don't start off giving him the praise, or I should probably, but I just don't do that. I don't feel the
need to praise him.
Not even the need. I don't nothing comes over me to do that or say that. Does that make sense?
You mean all the stuff, or just like be thankful?
Right. Yeah, no, all the extra stuff.
Okay, but at least you're thankful, but it's not the extra stuff.
Yeah, I just say thank you. I'm just like, oh, glorious God in heaven.
Well, isn't that what they say also in the New Testament? When he says when you pray, even Jesus said you pray where inside your room where nobody, everybody wants to pray out loud and everything, but he even said, close the door from your room and pray there where nobody sees. Where you pray in secret where nobody sees but God sees.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's why I always find it strange when my dad would say, yo nunca te veo orar. Like, I never see you pray.
My mom still says that.
And I'm like, why do you want to see me pray?
My mom still
What's
says
it to you? Why do I need to pray in front of you to justify to God that I am actually a Christian or praying?
But did that sting because you're not doing it? Because I feel too, my dad would say the same thing too, and I would go more the defense. But at the end of the day, too, I wasn't.
No. I understand. Yeah. I understand that. But what I'm saying is that the fact that he said it in that way, or he said those words, is saying, I don't see you. Like, you don't need to see me.
Mm-hmm. Like, my grandma would always tell me, she would always sit me down. She's like, Pablo, siéntate. And I'm like, crap, what's going on? She's like, I need to talk to you. All serious. I'm like, ¿Qué pasó? I feel like you're straying away from God.
Yes. She always tells you
I'm like, why? She's like, because I never see you reading the Bible. And I'm like, I'm not going to go to announce to the whole house that I'm going to read the Bible. Or I'm not going to tell you I'm going to read the Bible.
You send a text, I'm reading the Bible. Don't bother me.
Exactly.
No, yeah. Mom still tells me that. Tienes que orar,
no, but because what she does is she has this whole elaborate layout of the Bible, her journal, her thing,
which is great.
I'm not fine. Like you. I can't, because I'm not saying that they do it in bad intent. They just do it because they want you to do it the way they do it.
Yeah, like the way my grandma does it is she puts on the old school Marcos wit, gets the anointing oil, and then she's out like in the living room.
Yeah,
that's her.
But me, I don't want it to be just a feeling. It has to be authentic. I can't be listening, because when I listen to music, and I know Manny, you've told me the same thing, so, maybe different, but for me, when I start listening to music, I don't pay attention to the words.
Yeah.
I'm in the music because I'm a musician. So the worship music doesn't do anything for me
Exactly.
as far as getting into the spirit.
Listening or even playing up there. It's
Exactly.
different.
Yeah. So to be told that, oh, you're not doing it because you're not doing exactly like me. Like, yeah, I don't do anything like you because I'm not the same as you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not saying to be bitter. I probably am bitter, but
Sounds like you're bitter.
yeah, but I'm not taking it in the sense that you don't know that I am actually doing it. I'm just not doing it in the way you want it.
Stop biting the lemon.
So what?
Biting the lemon.
Oh, I love lemon.
Add some sugar to it.
That's lemonade, sir.
There you go. Release some of that bitterness.
And with that, we will end this pod. Thank you for joining us.
Wait, before
everybody.
that, I have the daily Gen Z translation.
Go for it.
So I have, it's one of the readings this week, Psalm 130, verse 5. Regular, it says, I will wait for the Lord. My whole being waits, and in his word, I put my hope.
Amen, brother.
Gen Z says, I'm just vibing. I'm putting on my faith in the Lord's promises.
Let's vibe this week.
Let's vibe with Jesus. That's it. Sorry.
All right, everybody. See you guys next week. Say bye, everybody.
All right.
See you guys. Bye.